Renee Jackson, and we are here with Navigating the Gap. Today's topic is the power of showing up, and I'm really excited. I have my special guest, Miss Cynthia Flores. Woo! I don't have any kind of like noisemakers. I'm gonna give you a chance to introduce yourself in a second, Cynthia. But today, I just wanted to say that showing up is just like something that has come up recently. Not recently, but I'm just kind of like in my heart, has been in my heart. So today I want to talk about, share a memory of how my mom has taught me to show up. But before we get into any kind of conversation, I want you all to meet my special guest, Miss Cynthia Flores. Cynthia, introduce yourself.
How to find my unmute button.
Oh.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Flores. I am a military wife. I'm a wife to a military veteran. And I have 2 grown children and I have 2 grandchildren. So I'm excited to jump in this journey and talk about this conversation. I lost my mom 3 years ago. And so this conversation, I think, is going to be a good one to discuss mothers and the importance of them and what they showed up and did for us. So thank you for having me on here.
Of course. Thank you for being here. And wow, 3 years ago, I didn't even realize that. Amazing. I don't know if it's so short or if it's like, I don't know, but time just waits for no man, as my granddad used to say too. But today, welcome everyone to the podcast. Today's conversation, it is personal to me and it's personal to Cynthia as well. It's about the quiet but powerful lesson that my mom taught me, that simply showing up can change someone's life. And since we're talking about mothers, and my mother went home, she passed away a year, like not exactly a year ago, but literally like a year ago next Friday, I think the 22nd, but still a year. And today recently I've been unpacking things, packing things, kind of like moving things around, which you learn that is something that you need to do when someone passes away. But I have been pleasantly surprised by all the pictures that I found. Like I found a picture of my mom and dad, like my son went to a Montessori school, and everything, they had like graduation, they had the play, everything was on the playground outside. So we see like my mom there with like an umbrella in her wheelchair out on the grounds where they would, the kids would set up and they would do their plays and their recitals and all their events. And so there's pretty much nothing, my college graduation, the kids, orchestra events, like there's nothing, the birthday parties at the house, they're there, you know what I'm saying? Like they're singing happy birthday with everyone, they're waiting to get a pizza cake. And so I was like, wow, it just hit me, especially with Mother's Day coming around. I was just kind of like pondering on that and not sure how I was going to experience, I'll be honest, Cynthia. But I realized that I read this book a couple years ago. It's called The Power of Showing Up. And in that moment, I just started saying, wow, my mom and dad really showed up for us. Like all of us kids, they have 4 kids, and then they have like, I think 12 grandkids and great grandkids now. And that was their thing. You showed up, you came to all the events, you went to the barbecue, you went to anything that was happening that you could get to. Of course you were there. And so I really am, it really has brought me joy to think about that and even see how, without realizing it, that's one of my, how do you say it? Not principles, but it's just like a trait, like a thing that I've even passed on to my kids. And it's important to me is that, the kids, they're having an event and you got to go to the event. Like am I saying that right, Cynthia? I don't know.
I think it's something that you value, right? You value being present in your children's lives.
Exactly. So it's a definite value. and I can tell you how we've carried it out in the last couple years when we were really in the in the throes of caring for both my parents, showing up, everybody being present. It was just kind of like required, whether you lived in the house or you were outside of the house, it was kind of like expected. And now I can see, like, my mom and dad, they spent a lot of time over these years, like, saying, hey, this is who we are, this is what we do for each other. So that's my story. That's how I'm going to kick it off today, about mom. But what about you, Cynthia? How does that resonate with you?
So my mom was my writer. And I think she taught me how to be resilient. She was a single mother from majority of my life. And so she showed me how to balance things, right? How to be that multitasker, how to make a meal out of nothing when you look in the cabinet. I was taught to just, to be resilient, to be loyal, to have integrity, and to love on those who are near and dear to me, right? And I think that that's what you're talking about here when you say, they showed up for all their events, they were present in your children's lives. And that's the whole thing. Being intentional and being present, I think, is what my mother instilled in me the most. I got pregnant at a very young age, and so I had my son, my oldest, at 15.
Oh.
And a lot of people discouraged her from helping me. People told her, have her have an abortion, or have her give the baby up for adoption, or send her away, or, whatever. It was back in the day. I mean, I'm not trying to date myself here, but back in the day when I was 15 and I had a kid, it was different than nowadays. And she just stuck to her guns. She was like, no, I believe in her. She's going to graduate. She's going to make it. And she's going to be a good mom. And I'm going to be right here to help her. And I did. I graduated top 10 in the state, and graduated with honors, and graduated with just one kid, not multiple. So, and so she helped me, make sure to be mindful of my actions thereafter. But she really just showed me that if you put your mind to it, you can do it. And
and it's I don't know if it's the reflecting on their life that brings more weight to what they've taught, but I feel like that. I don't think I took it for granted that they showed up while they were alive. I love that about them. But now, in reflecting and that they're not here, and I can smile about it. It actually brings a smile to my face when I think about it. I know people, Mother's Day was, I'm not even going to lie, I kind of lived in silence on the actual Mother's Day, because I just wasn't sure. As it started getting closer, I kind of felt like, man, it just, the weight of it came on me. But when I really started, the whole idea of them showing up and just seeing. So this is the thing I was trying to tell you about earlier, was the video that I found of my mom. So she's at the kitchen table, and she has the multiplication cards, and she's like 3 times 5, 3 times 7, and she's looking into a video. So I know that one of those kids are either she's making a video for one of the kids, or one of the kids is on the other screen, and she's like a FaceTime, and she's reading them the cards so they can memorize their multiplication. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. But it was hilarious to me because she was doing it, but once she got tired, when she got closer to that 10th, that 9th or 10th number, she was kind of looking at me like, all right, girl, I'm done. She was giving me that energy, was like, all right, I've done my part now, let's move on here. But I just thought it was hilarious to me, because she still did it. She still engaged. But then when she was tired of it, she just was like, all right, that's enough. But that video really just kicked me off into man, she taught us, you show up even if you don't want to be a part, it's important. Like you said, intentionality. That intentionality was there. And
I think reflecting too about them being gone, specifically my mother, my father's still here, is you feel the absence, right? You sense the absence. because, like you said, she was always there. She was helping out. She was doing videos. She was attending the recitals, the plays, the games, all the whole nine. But I think that that's also the universe or God or the spirit telling us it's now time for us to fill that absence because we're the next generation, right? And that's how the story goes.
Yeah.
You know, now that absence is really, I think, triggering in us that feeling of intentionality, because now we know, okay, we're coming up to the plate to bat. Like, it's our turn to be intentional. It's our turn to fill those shoes. And what mighty shoes we have to fill, right?
Yes.
But yeah, I think it's the absence, that feeling of you have nostalgia, you are happy because they're in a better place. And we all want to be in that better place one day. But just to know the responsibility and the actuality of we're going to be filling those shoes. We're going to be now stepping into that role of being present and being intentional. And it's that shift. You just feel that shift in life.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's the shift. And it's and I yeah, like you said, feeling that weight. And because they are gone, I think what I do feel is more energized towards, and I don't know if I should use the word energized because some people might think it's a morbid thought, but I feel more energized towards assignment. I don't know. I don't want to make it like so deep. I don't want to make it deep, but I'm telling you, I just like literally get, because I can like reflect on the last 5 or 6 months. Even for me, I mean, I had a teenager, and one of the things God has really, and I was been like kind of like pulling my hair out in some ways. And number one, he was like him and my mom had a wonderful, like an amazing relationship. And she used to like be in the corner and she would like give me the stink eye if she thought I was getting carried away. Like if I was doing too much, if I was being too hard on him, or if she was just like, let him go.
Don't be messing with her best friend.
Yeah, like, don't do that. And she would be giving me like the eye from the corner, and he never saw that. But then now and then lately, just to encourage my heart, God has been saying, just be consistent. Because I would be like in the bathroom praying like, God, I don't know what to do. And he was saying, just be consistent, Renee. Just be consistent. And I was just like, that can't be the answer. That can't be enough. But then when I came across this, when he just really like opened my eyes about the showing up, I don't know. It's just like, oh, that's what that is. You don't have to have it right. You don't have to be perfect. And I think that's kind of what she was trying to tell me is like, calm down, sister. Like really, he's like, if he was like, he's 5, he's 3, like expectations is calm down and go sit down somewhere. And so
I think being intentional is being consistent though, right?
It
like,
is.
You were intentional on how you show up. So you show up consistently the same way every time.
Yeah. Yeah. The same way every time. And that is not easy. I don't think that is easy to do, but it is important. And I guess getting to the point of the power of showing up. And like you said, showing up the same way every time, like being loving, being consistent, and showing up, like seeing them for who they are, and letting them know that you see them and you recognize them and they're human and they don't have to be perfect. Like there is a power in that, more powerful than what is the discipline and you're in trouble and you didn't get that right. And it's that showing up is more important. So I guess I'm learning a lesson too. Yeah, it's a hard one.
Yeah, but we're, like I said, we're stepping into big shoes, right? We're feeling a mighty presence that is now gone. And it's so interesting to me being a grandmother now. I used to look back and I used to think, how can my mom be like so soft with my son? But like with us, I'm like, man, you didn't know a version of my mom. Like that chocolate come around the corner, man, and smack you straight in the face. like you didn't know this version of my mother. I'm like, who is this nice soft lady? Because I don't know. But now that I'm a grandma, it's like my daughter's looking at me the same way. And I'm just like, oh, this poor little sweet angel, like my prince, you know? And I tell her he's my best friend. I tell him, good morning, best friend. Whenever I see him, he gets all excited. And then I realized that my mother saw the same things that I see in my kids. Like, I was, 15 when I had my son. I was, 18? No, 20 when I had my daughter, 18 when I got married. And we were all just trying to make it, right? Just like our parents. They were somebody's kids too. This was their first time on the go around of the life and being parents.
Exactly.
And when you become a grandparent, it's like God gives you this beautiful, wonderful second chance to be that softer version, right? To show up intentionally with love and consistency. Because the first time, it's like the universe planted this baby in your arms, and you're like, "What am I supposed to do with this?" Like,
Right.
there's no instruction book. There's no pamphlet on how to be a good parent. But when you become a grandparent, that's when you really get to learn the lesson in patience and in grace. And it humbles you. It humbles you to know that you have lived long enough to see another generation be born.
Wow.
And to be a part of that. Like, your children will forever hold the love and the consistency and the grace and mercy and the attention that your parents showed them. And that's going to help them be better parents. And that's going to help you be a better grandparent when you become a grandparent, because you're going to have that second chance to really understand, oh, that's why they were so patient with my kids, or that's why she gave me the side eye, or, it's because they learned from their mistakes. They learned the lesson that they needed to learn.
Absolutely.
And by watching them, we're able to emulate that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. I always say, like, for my kids, I would say they're going to write a book about us. They're going to tell all of our. I'm like, they're going to tell all the dirt about us, how I'm in there screaming and acting crazy. But yeah, I haven't experienced it yet, but I have seen it in action. How the grandparent how my mom. Sometimes I would tell my kids, like, she used to tell me to go upstairs and sit in my room, and she wouldn't come back for like 3 hours because she was gonna get me. I was in trouble, and they would look at me like, not my mom. Like, she's so sweet, she's so kind. They couldn't even imagine, like, like you said, when she had 4 little ones, and she started out when she was a teenager. I think she was maybe 18 or 19 when she had her first, and then she had 4 within 5 years. She had kind of back to back. She had us like back to back, and then my sister got a break with the last one. But imagine that she was so young. Her and my dad were like young, early 20s, teens, and having 4 kids and not knowing what to do and making mistakes. And then when they got those grandbabies, trust, they were buying suitcases and taking the grandbabies on vacation. Like, like my niece and nephews, they all have experienced what a true vacation is, because their mama was buying them a suitcase, and they were packing up, and they were going to Disneyland. They were going on vacation, getting on planes. And so, yeah, the grandparent does get that opportunity to, do it again. So, okay. So what's one thing you wish more people understood about showing up? I don't know. That's kind of like, is that off topic? I don't know. but if
one thing I think that is important that we want people to know about showing up, I would say, is the fact that you don't know the impact your presence is going to have on somebody else's life.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't know. And you just don't know what's going to come about of the ask, right? Ask, seek, knock. Like, you didn't have to ask me today. You didn't know what I was doing today. You didn't even know if I was going to say yes or not.
No.
And you're probably like, when I wrote back, of course, you're probably like, oh, okay. She said, yeah, she'll do it.
Exactly.
But I think that's what we don't realize. We don't understand what it's going to mean to the other person, the weight of the meaning to the other person when we show up. Because You look at a child, and of course their world is different. When we're adults, children look at you like you are their world. They, depending on their age, their world hasn't expanded past, you or the parents or the grandparents or the family or the little friends and the little bubble they live in. So, like my grandson right now, I tell my daughter, remember, be intentional when you sit down and talk to him. She'll be like, well, he's yelling or he's screaming or he's upset. And I said, it's because he wants your attention. If you're sitting there looking at your phone and then you're messing with this, or you're on your laptop trying to do your class and he's trying to show you this toy and you're like, okay, that's great, and you keep doing this, he's trying to say, engage with me, because you are his whole world right now. His world consists of you and maybe snack and nighttime and his toys. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's it. So trying to really get the other person's perspective, because perspective is everything, and understanding that they may have asked you to show up, and for you it's like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, I'll be there or I won't be there, what have you. But whether you come or you don't come, either choice you make is going to have an impact on their life.
Absolutely. And that brings me to being present in the moment and why it carries so much weight. Because, and I'm going to just say what it is, in my grief, like this year, I have felt the power of them showing up while they were here. And it's carried me. I don't know how else to express it, but if we are with that understanding, being present in the moment is so powerful. Whether it's riding to school in the morning, because oh my God, when they're younger and you do all this driving, dropping them off at school, dropping them off at events, they're in the car, you're going to the grocery store. Those intentional conversations, those moments when you stop and listen. I mean, I know at one point when my kids were younger, like bending down, like the elementary school teachers would always bend down to talk to them at their level. And they were looking at the parents like, yeah, you need to do it too. Like kind of like the stink eye, like get down to their level and they will listen to you better. Like learning how to be present in the moment is such a powerful tool. Like you can be trying to rush off to another conversation or another place, or you're trying to do something else, and stopping and being present. Like my younger kid is a hugger, and very recently he was like, I was busy, I wasn't fussing, but I was kind of like saying, okay, really, guy? Like he's either singing or dancing or saying something. And he reached out for a hug. And I just kind of like swatted him off a little bit, like to say, because I was like busy going to do it. And it was like, thank God for the Holy Spirit. He was like, what did you just do? And I turned myself right on around, walked back into that room, and didn't say anything. When he turned around and he saw me, I just reached out and hugged him, and he hugged me back. We didn't say anything. And it was like, after we took a moment to do that, it was like, Holy Spirit was like, now you can go. And I just was like, and I left, and I was just like, oh, it just like, even in this moment, it brings tears in my eyes, because it's like, we can miss those moments, like that they need it. Like we needed to, I needed it too, because I need to be present in the moment intentionally. I need Holy Spirit to remind me to slow down, but he needed it more than I probably even have a clue, like how important it is. So.
And moments are fleeting, life is fleeting. And so when you think about it, I know when I grieve my mother, there are times where I think, man, I'd give anything for her to pick up the phone and call me. That I remember how many times that she would call and I'd be like, okay, Mom, okay. Like I get, okay, we're like busy, you gotta go, or send it to voicemail. I'll talk to Mom in a little bit. And you just don't know how much more time you're going to have with that person. And every moment matters. The good moments, the bad moments, the happy moments, the arguing moments, they all matter. They all shape your life. They shape your personality. They shape how you're going to show up for someone else.
Yeah.
And losing her, really makes me cherish everything, not just my mother-daughter relationship with my daughter, my son, everything, even saying yes to your text message. Because this is embracing life. You know, I think that when you grieve those that you've lost, even though it's sad and it's bittersweet, right? It's bittersweet because they're gone off this earth, but they're in a better place, right? And so you get that seesaw of emotions. Some days you miss them more than others. Some days you're thankful that they're no longer hurting, or they're healthy, or they're happy, or they're in their soul, right? They're at peace. But then there are those moments where you grieve the moments that you didn't have with them. You grieve the time that you cut the conversation short. You grieve the time that you gave them attitude and you gave them such a hard time and you really didn't need to. Like, there was really no need for you to throw that tantrum, or there was really no need to have that argument. And there's really no need to be like, okay, mom, like, you know, you're too much, or you know, just having those little like nitpicky arguments, right, that parents and kids have. It just makes you cherish time more now. And I think grieving helps us if we embrace it. It allows us to embrace life, the joys of life, the moments in life, the being intentional in life, the being gentle. And those are words that I've really leaned into this year. And even when I do like my Hello Monday, if you watched it, you hear at the end, I say, live gently and live intentionally. Because for so long, I didn't live gently. And I didn't live intentionally. And that wreaked havoc on people in my life. It wreaked havoc on my own life and my own health. And so knowing that that's really, I think, what God is trying to tell us when we see these ebbs and flows, the babies being born, the older generation passing away, is that God's telling you, live gently. Like, live gently, because you only get this life once. And if you can glean the wisdom and the lessons that your parents leave behind from their actions, it's like you're basically leaving it better than you found it, right? Absolutely. And I heard nothing but accolades about your parents. I mean, the memorial service, just loved. I mean, undescribably loved. But I want you to know, from me personally, you exude that love yourself. You and your sister, you emulate that. Loved and protected. That's how we feel.
I know. Yeah.
You know, absolutely. I have a shirt that says, not just me, but me first, from your sister. And you have to put the oxygen mask on yourself so that you can help others. You have to learn the lessons of being gentle and giving grace and having patience and being consistent and being intentional, so that you can rub that off on your children and your children's children, on the people you come in contact with. So I can see that your parents' legacy is still very well alive and living, very much.
And I love that. I love that is even a possibility for it to be. I mean, I hear people all the time talk about legacy and different things, but I love that even through this grief journey, I've learned to, you know, people talk about, I don't know if people always talk about it, but people talk about God winks and how they, you know, for us, it's the red bird. I never knew the red bird meant so many different things to people, but for me, and especially me and my sister, like whenever like we would be having a conversation, we're like, okay, we should do this, or this is something that we think we're supposed to do. Even before my parents left, the red bird would show up like at the window, or we would be driving up and the red bird would show up, like, and we would be like, there's the red bird, to the point where like my nephew does it now. Like, you know, the cardinal or whatever, like we would all, like, even if we saw like a red bird who wasn't completely red, like maybe his head was just red, but the rest of him wasn't yet, we were just like, oh, that means that it's coming into focus. Like we're on the right track. Like God is showing us. Like that was like our thing was the red bird. And like to hear you say that about them is just a gift. I love that they left that love and kindness and community that they left with us and in the world. Now, we know other people have benefited from it. And my song, which I don't play it often because it to me is also kind of super sad, is I Get to Love You. And I don't remember who the lady is. It's some lady that sings.
I love that song.
You love that song? I do
Yes.
too. That was my song because I feel like there came like a window in our journey through caregiving and stuff with mom and dad, because my dad was off the chain. So me and my sister used to be like, he was out of control, girl. And when we would go to bed at night, like when he would go to bed at night and we would walk out, I would say, love you, dad. Like that wasn't his thing. And I would walk out, and right outside of his door, I would just lean against the door, and he would be like, what are you talking about? Like he would be talking junk. Like, who do they think they're talking about? Like, I don't even want them taking care of me.
I don't even want you around me. You talking
right? You talking about something? I love you, dad. But it got to the point where I don't know if he ever got to the point where he would say, "I love you" back, really. But he definitely got to the point where he heard it in a different way. I just feel like that because he didn't, like I don't remember the cartoon back in the day that the guy was just like rough and he would talk under his voice. It was like this. He would talk junk, and that's kind of like how my dad was. He would just be like, "Oh my god," like telling us off under his breath, like these girls, they think they got somebody in here. They're not telling me what to do. So just loving him and loving my mom, like she loved us to kiss her, hug her, kiss her on her head, like like buy her something that she loved, whether it was a Coke, because she loved the Coke, and or
my mom was brownies, man. She loved them brownies.
She did. The homemade, or did you have to buy them?
There was this bakery, and my sister who passed away, my sister-in-law who passed away, she used to work there, and she made the best homemade brownies.
Oh wow!
But even when her and my brother divorced, she still was at the bakery, and I would go see her all the time. But hey, sis, and she would always make brownies for my mom and my aunt, and we'd go pick them up. And my mom was just like, I have to have Gina's brownies. Like I just want Gina's brownies. So if you brought her Gina's brownies and a Dr. Pepper, theirs wasn't a Coke, it was a Dr. Pepper.
There you go.
Yeah, that would just make her day.
I love it. So see, that song is perfect, right? I Get to Love You. Like it covers all of that.
So. I think that's the way we should view it, right? Like we get to be at our children's recitals. We get to be a wife, or we get to be a mom, or we get to be a sister, we get to be an auntie. Like we get the chance to do this. Like God gave us the ability to do this. Like I don't like when people say, oh, well, I have to do this, or, no, like you get to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to go home. I have to take care of my children, or I've got to take, I have to take the kids here. Or I've got to do this. It's like, you get to love your kids. You get to love your grandkids. You get to wake up every morning. You get the option. Imagine the day when you don't.
Right.
Like,
Exactly. Even the things like, I think even like with having to give them consequences or having to deal with stuff at school or things that they don't like, I'm starting to see like, well, this is something I'm equipped to do. Like I'm the best person for the job here, guy. Like even though they might be mad at me about it, I'm like you. I'm like, but I get to help walk you through this part of it. I get to stand here so you see you're not by yourself, because the world wants you to know, especially some of our younger people, is that they are alone and there's no one else out there for them. And they're, in their what is it, in their culture, in this generation. In this generation, it's like, I didn't even know it was a thing that ChatGPT, they're asking for assistance to answer questions, to solve problems. And we want to be the ones that they're asking to solve problems. So as parents, we have to learn how to lean in and listen better and and figure out what they're into. And even this is funny because you don't see their friends anymore because they don't live in the same neighborhood, and it's so
Yeah.
different. Like they don't go outside to play anymore. It's not like you can say, oh, that's Bob, that's Jennifer, that's this one.
Mm-hmm.
So now, I mean, I have to on purpose. A friend of mine had told me, she was just like, no, Renee, you still need to take them to school. Like use that time. Like I know that they're about to get out of school, and I'm like, well, they can get the bus, and they get on the bus at 6 something in the morning. She was like, take them to school anyway because you still get that extra time with them. And sometimes I can go to school and I'll see the other friends that I wouldn't normally see because they're getting out. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that he doesn't ride the bus sometime, but being intentional about being present is not easy. There's a price to it. But it's worth the results. It's worth it. So
Well, I think too that children will come to adults and those who are around them to be mentors, whether it's adults or their older brother or sister, or what have you, if they're available. And that's the whole thing, right? I think that technology has taken so much of our attention that, like when I was saying earlier in the conversation about my daughter, like if you're looking at your phone and my grandson's trying to show you a toy and you're doing this and you're doing that, like be available.
yeah.
Like be present. I think if we're available, they'll ask.
Mhm.
But it's when you make them an option or when you make them second choice or when it's like an inconvenience to walk in the kitchen and ask you something when you're cooking dinner and they're like, oh, I don't want to go in there because mom's going to get mad that I interrupted her and she's talking to her girlfriend on the phone and she's cooking dinner. Like, I better not ask or I'm going to get in trouble, or I better not ask and she can get an attitude. Like leaving that door open to always be available.
Yeah.
I used to get accused of being the helicopter parent, and I said I'd rather be a helicopter parent than an absent parent.
Absolutely.
I'd rather know who all your little homies are and your little friends and everything. And then I became the parent that literally I had kids walking in my door. Hey, mom. I was like, hey, and my husband would be like, whose kid is that? And I'm like, it's so-and-so, it's so-and-so. And he's like, why does everybody call you mom? Because he'd come back from deployment and he's like, we got all these little people in the house. Like, what's going on with all these little people? And I said, hey, if they feel like our home is safe and if they want to come here instead of be out on the street, then let them. Because at least I know I'm here.
Yes.
I'll be mom to all the little ones if they're going to be somewhere that's safe, because they don't do that nowadays. They get bullied online. They're talking to people who they probably never even met face to face.
Yeah.
And you don't have the, Miss so-and-so down the street is going to tell my mom if she sees me hanging out on this curb over here with these people because she knows I'm not supposed to be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Where are all the big mamas at? Like, where are all the aunties? Where are all the people to say, excuse me, what are you doing? It's 10 o'clock. You should be at home. Like,
right.
We don't have that anymore.
No.
Right? That's sad.
Yeah. It's something. I've come up with the word, and it's not new. It's an old word, right? There's nothing new under the sun. Is the phone tree? Do you remember the phone tree? Are you remember the phone tree? So I'm like creating a phone tree because I'm like, I'm gonna call your mom, and we have, like you said, they show up at your house. You don't know who. Sometimes you don't know who the parent is, and so. Recently we had three of them, three little ones, young ones. I'm like, we don't even have anyone at the house their age, but they're showing up at our house. We have a basketball court outside. They're out there playing basketball, but we don't know who the mama is. We don't know who the house. Yeah, our house. Exactly. But the mama by chance drove by our house. She probably was like, wait. Young, and she drove by the house because she knew her boys were at our house, even though she didn't know us. And as soon as she pulled up, my sister was like, excuse me, hold on. And before she knew it, she had both of us out there saying, okay, what's your name? Where's your phone number? Hold on a second, because we are adding to our phone tree, because now if they're here and if anything goes down, we need to be able to call you. And so I say, let's reintroduce the phone tree and get people's phone numbers. So it's still showing up. It's all under the guise of showing up.
Yeah, I think showing up and being part of a village. Like, it takes a village to raise these kids. I think that's another thing that my mom showed me with my aunties. I mean, I was lucky to have my aunt live kind of catty corner across the street, like 2 houses down from us. I
Oh,
was lucky until I was a certain age. And I was unlucky because it was like, who's that? Like, bing, 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 the little house phone rings. I'm like, hello. My uncle's like, I see a boy outside your house in the front. I see some boys on their bikes. What are those boys doing? They have 2 minutes to leave before I walk over there. And I'm like, darn it. I can't do nothing, right? Can't do nothing because the eyes be watching
exactly.
So that was my like babysitter when my mom was at work because my uncle was, coming home early and he got retired and he was out there with a little coffee cup. Like I was like, can we move? Like, can we go somewhere? Because, I got this Rottweiler over there patrolling the neighborhood. But I think that reintroducing things like this is good. And I love that you all are going to be right in an event on, what is it, June 4th?
Yeah, June 4th. It's June 4th.
June 4th in New York, an event for the kids, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's one thing that as a multi-generational person, and then as you with Anna and Leslie can all attest to, is getting that organization, getting those contacts, being part of a village that looks out for one another.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have little kids, even if your kids are older, even if it's women, like, check in with your girlfriend. If she says she's going to be back from such and such, to say, hey, text me when you get home. Right. I hope you have fun tonight, but text me when you get home. So hey, she went on a date. Did she ever make it home? Mm-hmm. You don't want to find out 2 or 3 days later on the news that she never even made it home, but you never even checked on her. Yeah. So I think just having a village around you that is consistent and is intentional with just checking in. Mm-hmm. And saying, hey, or that mom one day might be able to, now that you have her number and she has yours, hey, little Timmy got sick, but I'm running late from work. I don't want him sitting outside of school. Can you pick him up after school with your kids?
Yes, that is it. That's
you're a safe place.
Yeah. No, that's what it should evolve into more. It should evolve into more. I mean, it's a phone tree, but it should be relationships and support. And the funny thing is that you reminded me the event on June 4th is, I think the focus is support and safety. And that's never going to get old. It's never going to get old. Like, we need to be supporting each other. How do we support each other? What does that look like? And safety, keeping each other safe and being neighbors and community. It has to be, we have to create it now, because before it was kind of like you just walked outside and everybody, that was your neighbors and that was your community. Now you kind of have to figure out what that is, who that is, and how to create it.
Yeah, you've got to create it on your own now, because it's no longer organically created. Mm-hmm. You have to even be intentional to find out, like, who is this person that moved in down the street? Because back in the day, I don't know if I'm dating myself again or not, but I remember we'd go, and of course, in our first early years of being in the military, we would get on a new base, and some of the officer wives or some of the people down the street would come and be like, hey, we made you Rice Krispies, or we baked you chocolate chip cookies. We're so and so. Our husbands are on the same ship or on the same, squadron or whatever. And it was like, oh, thank God I'm not alone. Like, someone out here, it's kind of like extending an olive branch or extending a helping hand, open hand, and saying, hey, I'm here. And I think that when people would come into a neighborhood back in the day, that's how people showed up, right? Oh, welcome to the neighborhood. Here's a casserole dish, or, whatever. People don't do that nowadays.
No, they're not going to eat the food that somebody brought in, because now we want to throw it away because we're like, what's in it? They're trying to poison us. It's not even fun.
Yeah, it's no longer a very enjoyable experience. Exactly. But I think just being intentional with making your village, creating your village, people that you can depend on in person, people that you can depend on virtually. Yeah. And showing your kids too that it's safe to put yourself out there.
Absolutely.
Worst thing someone can say is no.
That's the worst thing that they can say. Yeah. So I love that, because it does teach. Also, it makes the kids feel safe too, because they're like, oh, Mom, you're gonna call such and such's friend. Oh, you guys are gonna go and get something before we go, like they like that too, that you're having a friendship or some kind of normal relationship with their friend's parent, or
Mm-hmm.
parents. So I think it just like it has so many different layers of positiveness that it kind of like wars off the whole everybody is crazy. Somebody's driving down the street and they may come in and take you. Like there's all those negative reports out there that we, when we talk about building our village and our community, it doesn't have to be like 50,000 people. It really could only be like two or three families, like two families. It's just like it can start very small and then it can grow from there. But it has like the rewards, like we're saying, like the rewards of having something stable, having the support, having people see you. It matters. It matters. And so I'm glad we were able to have this conversation, Cynthia. I want to ask a question for everybody. So hopefully we'll get some feedback in the chat later. We'll come back and take a read. But I want to ask everyone that's listening, anyone that's listening, who in your life taught you the power of showing up? And have you told them lately? If they're still here, have you told them that they taught you the power of showing up? Like, who showed up for you? So that's my question for everyone. And so, Cynthia, I'm going to ask you, what are some closing, you can give us like a closing statement, or what's something that you want to leave with us today after today's conversation? And thank you. I am so glad that we got a chance to talk. I was a little bit like, I wanted to get the thought out in a positive way. And I feel like we were able to do that. Because I thought I was going to be on here crying the whole time. Like, oh my gosh.
No, girl, I ain't gonna let you cry.
Thank
I
you
got
so
you.
much. You know. Thank you
I
so much.
got you. And thank you for the ask. Thank you for inviting me to come on. I'll leave you with, you always want to leave someone, and something, and somewhere better than you found it. And I think that that's the number one thing our mothers probably taught both of us is, and your father, taught you too. We're the next generation. We're the next imprint. We're the next impact. And so if we embody love, if we embody intentionality, if we embody grace, mercy, the ability to be dependable and be able to depend on others, that I think slowly we can turn the tide, right? I think slowly we can start to affect the two or three that are in our circle, and then it grows and then it multiplies because there's power in numbers. And if we can show up for one person, then that person will show up for somebody else, and then that person will show up for somebody else, and it'll grow. And so I think that showing our children that not only do they have friends they can depend on, but the parents can depend on each other as well, it starts to build that village. It starts to build that trust. You never know if your child may feel, and this is not a negative way at all, but I will leave it with this because I have a friend who was a military spouse, and I met her little girls, and her girls are older now, high school and college. Wow, I met them when they were elementary, and both of them were in elementary. But her girls have been able to come to me and talk to me like I'm auntie, like I'm family, and living on an island, so to speak, and being military and living so far away from family, biological family, we really had to depend on the strangers who came into our life to become family. So I think that emulating the love and the intention that our mothers showed us and showing that to other people, you never know it, but you could be mothering one of those other kids right now just by your words, just by your actions, just by allowing them to sit at your dinner table, sit in your car for a ride to school or somewhere, just whatever words you say of encouragement to them. And I know you say many words of encouragement, that could change the trajectory of their life. Kids are so depressed nowadays. Kids are suffering with a lot of things, cyberbullying, a lot of things. So being another positive role model in their life and someone they can depend on, right there, you're impacting a life. And if you impact one life, it's going to be a domino effect. So yeah, live gently and live intentionally.
I love that. I love that, Cynthia. Thank you. I want to thank everybody for spending this time with us today. And remember, I mean, there's been so many gems dropped in this conversation today, and it hasn't been lost on me or my heart. But remember, sometimes the greatest gift that we can give someone is not advice or an answer, it's simply your presence. It's simply your presence. And so, as we used to say when I was little, we would go to my grandparents' house on a Sunday after church, and we're gonna go sit with grandma. We're gonna go sit with. It meant you would go visit and you would stay for a while. And I pray my encouragement to everyone that is listening: go sit with them. Go sit with someone that you know could really benefit from your presence on their at their kitchen table or on their porch. Go sit with them today. And thank you all for joining us. And have a great rest of your Sunday. Thank you, Cynthia. I so appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye.
We did it.